While we are eagerly awaiting the return of the Harinam party, today's class is postponed, and Nata Bhargaranga will get another chance. So we'll continue reading from Śrīla Prabhupada Līlāmṛta, Volume 6, chapter titled The Lame Man and the Blind Man. He had been in Honolulu for about a week when he announced one morning, walking along Waikiki Beach, that he expected to finish that night the last purport to the 7th canto. When Hari Aksari expressed his happiness to hear this, Prabhupada replied, "Well, I can finish very quickly, but I have to present it for your understanding. It requires deep thought, very carefully to present it for the common man." That night around 9, Prabhupada called for Hari Aksari and said that he would not take his evening massage. He wanted the time for finishing the 7th canto. Shutting the door and returning to his desk, he worked all night until 5 in the morning. At the end of the 7th canto, he dictated a closing remark. Completed on the night of Vaishak Shukla Ekadasi, the 10th of May, 1976, in the temple of the Panchatattva New Navadvip, Honolulu. By the mercy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Thus we may happily chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Immediately Prabhupada turned to the 8th canto, beginning with a prayer. First of all, let me offer my humble, respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Prabhupada explained that his spiritual master had instructed him at Radhakund in 1935 to stress book production more than temple construction. He had followed that instruction, beginning with his starting Back to Godhead magazine in 1944. And in 1958, he had begun Srimad Bhagavatam. As soon as he had published 3 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam in India, he had started for the U.S. in August 1965. I am continuously trying to publish books as suggested by my spiritual master. Now in this year, 1976, I have completed the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and a summary of the 10th canto has already been published as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still, the 8th canto, 9th canto, 10th canto, 11th canto, and 12th canto are yet to be published. On this occasion, therefore, I am praying to my spiritual master to give me strength to finish this work. I am neither a great scholar nor a great devotee. I am simply a humble servant of my spiritual master. And to the best of my ability, I am trying to please him by publishing these books with the cooperation of my disciples in America. Fortunately, scholars all over the world are appreciating these publications. Let us cooperatively publish more and more volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam, just to please His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada said he was making the Bhagavatam understandable for the common man. This did not mean his writings were lacking in substance. They were pure substance. But in the essential spirit of the Bhagavatam itself, Prabhupada was omitting anything extraneous and distracting, selecting from the commentaries of the previous acharyas whatever would best impel his readers to pure devotional service. At the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the author, Srila Vyasadeva, states that the Bhagavatam excludes all materially motivated forms of religiosity and offers only pure devotional service. Srimad Bhagavatam is therefore called the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic knowledge. And just as the Bhagavatam itself, the most essential spiritual knowledge, so Srila Prabhupada, in translating and commenting on the Bhagavatam, utilized the same spirit of delivering the pure message without any speculation or deviation. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all incarnations, the cause of all causes. And Prabhupada revealed this conclusion on every page. Although some Sanskrit scholars disagreed with Prabhupada's emphasis on Krishna, his Krishnizing of the Sanskrit was not whimsical, but followed strictly the ancient tradition of parampara. Overwhelmingly, those university scholars who seriously read Prabhupada's books appreciated the faithful quality of his parampara rendering. Reviews came from all over the world. Quote, "For those who have no access to the Sanskrit language, these books convey in superb manner the message of the Bhagavatam." Dr. Alak Hajib, Department of Sanskrit and Indian Studies, Harvard University. Quote, "It is a deeply felt, powerfully conceived, and beautifully explained work. I don't know whether to praise more this translation of the Bhagavad Gita, its daring method of explanation, or the endless fertility of its ideas. I have never seen any other work on the Gita with such an important voice and style. It will occupy a significant place in the intellectual and ethical life of modern man for a long time to come." Dr. Shalagram Shukla, Professor of Linguistics, Georgetown University. Quote, "For the first time we possess a readily accessible edition for this great religious classic that will provide opportunity for scholars in Indian literature and followers of the Krishna consciousness tradition alike to compare the original text with a modern English translation and become acquainted with the deeper spiritual meaning of this work through the learned commentary of Sri Bhaktivedanta. Anyone who gives a closer reading to the commentary will sense that here, as in his other works, Sri Bhaktivedanta has combined a healthy mixture of the fervent devotion and aesthetic sensitivity of a devotee and the intellectual rigor of a textual scholar. At no point does the author allow the intended meaning of the text to be eclipsed by the promotion of a particular doctrinal persuasion. These exquisitely wrought volumes will be a welcome addition to the libraries of all persons who are committed to the study of Indian spirituality and religious literature, whether their interests are sparked by the motivation of the scholar, the devotee, or the general reader. Dr. J. Bruce Long, Department of Asian Studies, Cornell University. Quote, this English edition, translated by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, is superb. It contains the original Sanskrit and Bengali verses with their English transliteration, synonyms, translations, and elaborate purports, easily bearing testimony to the author's profound knowledge of the subject. Dr. O.B.L. Kapoor, Emeritus Chairman and Professor, Department of Philosophy, Government Postgraduate College, Gyanpur, India. Dr. O.B.L. Kapoor is a disciple of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. His initiated name is Adi Keshava. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki. Now we'll read briefly from the Caitanya-caritāmṛta. We'll read briefly from the Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Do you like Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Dr. Alex? You haven't started reading it, right? You're only listening. Okay, well, let's continue. Continue the flow of nectar. And we're reading from the Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya Līla, chapter 19. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Srila Rupa Goswami. And we're at text 176. Bhukti mukti spriha yabat pishachiriti vartate tavad bhakti sukkhas yatra katham abhyudayo bhavet. Translation: the material desire to enjoy the material world and the desire to become liberated from material bondage are considered to be two witches, and they haunt one like ghosts. As long as these witches remain within the heart, how can one feel transcendental bliss? As long as these two witches remain in the heart, there is no possibility of enjoying the transcendental bliss of devotional service. Purport: this verse is found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-2-22. Text 177. By regularly rendering devotional service, one gradually becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When that attachment is intensified, it becomes love of Godhead. Purport: The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 122 gives the following information about sadhana bhakti. Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhava sadhana bidha nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatyang riddhi sadhyata. The process of devotional service beginning with chanting and hearing is called sadhana bhakti. This includes the regulative principles that are intended to awaken one to devotional service. Devotional service is always dormant in everyone's heart, and by the offenseless chanting of the holy names of the Lord, one's original, dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened. This awakening to Krishna consciousness is the beginning of sadhana bhakti. This can be divided into many different parts, including faith, association with devotees, initiation by the spiritual master, engagement in devotional service under the instruction of a spiritual master, steadiness in devotional service, and the awakening of a taste for devotional service. In this way, one can become attached to Krishna and his service. And when this attachment is intensified, it results in ecstatic love for Krishna. The word rati is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.341 as follows. Vyaktang marsrina vantor lakshite rati lakshanam mamukshu prapratinam chet bhavet esa ratir nahi. When a tenderness of the heart is manifested, there is rati, or attachment. But those who are interested in being liberated from material bondage will not manifest this tenderness. This attachment is not like material attachment. When one is free of material contamination, attachment for Krishna's service awakens and is called rati. In the material world, there is attachment for material enjoyment, but this is not rati. Transcendental rati can be awakened only on the spiritual platform. Ecstatic love for Krishna, prema, is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 141 as follows. Sangyan masritnita swanto mamat vatisya nikata bhavasa eva sandratma buddhai prema nigadyate. When the heart is completely softened and devoid of all material desires, and when one's emotional feelings become very strong, one becomes very much attached to Krishna. Such purified emotion is known as pure love. Text 178. Prema vriddhi krame nama sneha mana pranay raga anuraga bhava mahabhava hai. The basic aspects of prema, when gradually increasing to different states, are affection, abhorrence, love, attachment, further attachment, ecstasy, and great ecstasy. Purport in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.284, sneha, affection, is described as follows. Sandras chitta dravam kuravan prema sneha itiryate shanik neha sanikasyapi sneha syad vishlesasya sahishnuta. That aspect of prema in which the melting of the heart for the lover is concentrated is called sneha, or affection. The symptom of such affection is that the lover cannot for a moment remain without the association of the beloved. A description of mana can be found in Madhya Līlā chapter 2, verse 66. Similarly, a description of pranaya is also there. As far as raga is concerned, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.287 says, Sneha saragaryena syat sukham dukkam api sputam tat sambandha lave pyatra priti prana vyavyar api. That stage at which affection for the beloved converts unhappiness into happiness is called raga, or attachment. When one has such attachment for Krishna, he can give up his own life to satisfy his beloved Krishna. Anuraga, bhava, and mahabhava are described in the 6th chapter of the Madhya Līlā, verse 13. The purport to that verse explains Adiruddha Mahabhav. Text 179. Yaiche bijaikshu rasa gudda kandasar sarkar sita michari uttama michari ar. The gradual development of prema may be compared to different states of sugar. First, there is the seed of the sugar cane, then sugar cane, then the juice extracted from the cane. When this juice is boiled, it forms liquid molasses, then solid molasses, then sugar candy, rock candy, and finally lozenges. Text 180. E sabha Krishna bhakti rasera sthayi bhave mile yati vibhava anubhav. All these stages combined are called sthayi bhava, or continuous love of God in devotional service. In addition to these stages, there are vibhava and anubhava. Purport. Attachment for Krishna never wanes. It increases more and more as one attains different stages. All the stages together are called sthayi bhava, or continuous existence of ecstasy. The 9 forms of devotional service are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasam, Sakyam, Atma, Nivedanam. Srimad Bhagavatam 7:523. When continuous love of God is mixed with the processes of devotional service, it is called vibhava, anubhava, sattvika, and vyabhichari. The devotee thus enjoys a variety of transcendental bliss. In his Amrita Prabhaha Bhasya, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that anubhava can be divided into 13 categories. 1. Dancing. 2. Rolling on the ground. 3. Singing. 4. Yelling. 5. Jumping. 6. Making loud noises. 7. Yawning. 8. Heavy breathing. 9. Not caring for public opinion. 10. Discharging saliva. 11. Roaring laughter. 12. Unsteadiness. And 13. Hiccuping. These are the symptoms of anubhava. Thus, the transcendental mellows are experienced in different stages. Similarly, there are many other forms of expression that have been analytically studied by the Goswamis. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami gives each and every symptom a particular name. Text 181. Sattvika vyabhichari bhavera milane Krishna bhakti rasa haya amrita asvadane. When the higher standard of ecstatic love is mixed with the symptoms of sattvika and vyabhichari, the devotee relishes the transcendental bliss of loving Krishna in a variety of nectarian tastes. Text 182. Yaitse dadi sita grita maricha karpura milane risala hai amrita madura. Those tastes are like a combination of yogurt, sugar candy, ghee, black pepper, and camphor, and are as palatable as sweet nectar. Text 183, 184. Bhakta Bedi Rati Beda Pancha Parakara Santi Rati Dasi Rati Sakya Rati A Vatsalya Rati Madhura Rati E Pancha Vibed Rati Bede Krishna Bhakti Rasa Pancha Beda. According to the devotee, attachment falls within the 5 categories of Shantarati, Dasirati, Sakyarati, Vatsalyarati, and Madhurarati. These 5 categories arise from devotees' different attachments to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The transcendental mellows derived from devotional service are also of 5 varieties. Purport. Shantarati is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2, 5, 16 through 18 as follows. Manase nirvikalpatvang samit yabhidiyate. When one is completely free from all doubts and material attachments, he attains the neutral position called Shanta. Vihaya vishayan mukyam nijananda stitiryata atmana katite sotra svabhava samityaso prayak sama pradhanana mamata gandhavajita Paramatmataya Krishna Datastanti Ratira Mata. The Shantarati realization of Krishna is in a neutral stage between the conception of impersonalism and personalism. This means that one is not very strongly attached to the personal feature of the Lord. An appreciation of the greatness of the Lord is called Shantarati. This attachment is not to the personal feature but to the impersonal feature. Generally, one in this stage is attached to the Paramatma feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridesya arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantar rudani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, as directing the wanderings of all living entities, who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Bhagavad Gita 1861. On the strength of this statement from the Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that in Shantaras, A devotee sees the Lord's representation everywhere. Dāsa is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.27 thus: Swasmad bhavanti ye nyunyas te nu grahaya aryamati ara devatmika tesham rati pratir itirata tatra shakti kranyatra priti sangharini yaso. When the Supreme Lord in his localized aspect is appreciated and a great devotee understands his subordinate position, not only does he surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but due to his subordinate position, he wishes to render some service and thus become favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A devotee in Shantarati is not very much willing to render service to the Lord, but a devotee in Dasarati voluntarily wants to render service. Due to this attitude, the devotee in Dasarati realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead more fully than a devotee in Shantarati. He considers the Lord to be a worshipable object, and this means that his attachment for the Lord increases. Thus, Dasarati is characterized as Bhakti Pareshanubhavo Virakta Anyatracha. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.42. In other words, on the Dasarati platform, a devotee is attached to rendering service to the Lord, and he is detached from material activities. Shantarati is neither material nor spiritual, but Dasarati is actually on the spiritual platform. There is no attachment for material things on the spiritual platform. Virakta Anyatatra. A devotee in Dasarati has no attachment for anything but Krishna's service. Sakirati is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.30 as follows: Yeshu tulya mukundasya te sakaya satangbataha samyad vishramba rupayashang rati sakyam ihochite. According to the opinion of advanced devotees and learned scholars, a devotee in Sakirati feels equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a relationship in friendship. Due to having a friendly relationship with the Lord, not only is one free from material attachment, but one believes in equal dealings with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Sakirati. This Sakirati devotee is so advanced that he treats the Lord on an equal level and even exchanges joking words with him. Although one is never equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Sakirati devotee feels equal to the Lord, and he does not feel guilty because of this. Usually it is offensive to consider oneself equal to the Lord. The Mayavadis, for example, consider themselves equal to the Lord, but such feelings entail bereavement because they are material. Sakirati, however, is a feeling experienced in the mind by a pure devotee, and he is eternally related with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in that feeling. Vatsalya-rati is described as follows in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.33. Guruvo ye hare asya te puja iti vishrutaha anugraha mayi tesham ratir vatsay muchate irang lalana bhavyasis chibuka parshanadikrit. When a living entity is situated in the platform of Vatsalya-rati, he thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his childhood feature. In this feature, the Lord has to be protected by the devotees, and at this time the devotee takes the position of being worshipped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These feelings of parental love are called Vatsalya-rati. When a devotee is situated in this platform, he wants to maintain the Lord like a son, and he desires all good fortune for the Lord. He offers blessings to the Lord by touching his feet and head. Madhura-rati, or attachment in conjugal love, is described as follows: Mito harem rigakshascha sambhogasyadi karanam madhura paraparyaya priyatakyo ditarati asyan kataksha bru shepa priyabani smitadyaha. Madhura-rati, the conjugal relationship experience between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the young damsels of Brajabhumi continuously exists in 8 kinds of remembrances. This intimate relationship, brought about by conjugal love, produces movement of the eyebrows, glancing, sweet words, and exchange of joking words. Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki. We'll take up with text 185. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki, Śrīla Prabhupāda ki, Mahaprasadam ki. Flowers came? Okay, yeah, I'll take that. Did you help bring them in?
No, I told him I have back problems still, so.
Told him he had back problems, huh?
Yeah.
And he believed you?
Yeah, well, because I do. I pulled it the other day, so it's slowly healing. I don't want to, do anything to put myself back in that predicament, so.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Huh?
That sounds good.